Hello everyone, this is Lori from Grammy's Keepsakes, and we are going to make a cover using matte gel medium to adhere the fabric to the cover. And the second part of this tutorial is going to be sewing a zipper into vinyl into our inside cover. I've had a couple of requests to show these, and so let's get started. I'm using a legal size hanging file folder, and I have it all ready to go here, but all I did was I cut off the metal hanging part, and then I used my heat gun and a spatula, and I removed the little layer so that I have a single layer here, because this piece is cut 13 by 8 3/4. And so when I cut it at the fold line to get 8 3/4, I needed this little part from the hanging folder part, if that made any sense. But here it's by 8 3/4, so I need it to go all the way up to there, and so that's what I just cut off the hanger and trimmed this part off. It's glued on, so I just used a heat gun and a spatula, and it took it right off. We'll put that aside. That half will work for another journal. Okay, so this is 13 inches and is 8 3/4 high. So then I put it into the scoreboard with the 13 at the top, and I scored it 5 3/4 inches and 7 1/4 inches. Now, there was some more at the end of this, and I cut that to be 1 1/2, and so I glued that portion on top of my spine. So my spine is doubled and a lot more durable than the other part of it. So 13 and 8 3/4, and another one that's 1 1/2 inches by 8 3/4 if you want to make this size. And then here's our score marks. So what I'm going to do is flip it over to this side, because we're going to put the cover on first. And this is the fabric I chose, and this I received in Happy Mail from Suzanne. Thank you, Suzanne. And I've already prepped it by ironing on some cotton needled batting. So it's very thin, but it adds a little extra cushion that I want it to have. And I pieced it all together. I made it work. Another way that I usually apply fabrics to covers is using the heat and bond and just iron it on. But they asked, because I had to use a matte gel medium when I made the oilcloth journal, and because it has a laminated top, I cannot heat that with an iron. So I had to come up with an alternative method, and I used matte gel because it is not moist. You know, it's very dry. It doesn't have a lot of water content in it, and because I don't want it seeping through the fabric. So what I want to do first is brush this on to the cover. And it's thick and goopy, just the way we want it. And I'm just using a big old brush. And I've got my glass mat covered with a baking sheet, a parchment baking sheet, so it's protected and hopefully also keeping the glare down for you. Get good and messy. We like that part. Boy, I do have it on thick. But I want it to stick. Okay. Put that aside and grab a baby wipe and pull this off, and so I don't get my fabric dirty, I'm going to remove this. And bring my cover back, and I'm just going to line this up. Turn it around so I can see. And mush it all down. And you can use a brayer, and I was jelly printing the other day, so my brayer is in the other room, so I'll just use my bone folder. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just put my brush in water because it'll be a while before we use it again to put the inside down, the lining. So we'll close that up. Okay, now what we need to do is cut our corners. So I'm going to use this tool that I got from Claudia at colorwayarts.com. And I still have glue all over my hands. Sorry about that, but okay, and I'm just going to grab an X-Acto knife and I'm going to just trim it. All the way around. Maybe it'll be better if I use a craft knife. Give it a shot. I don't think I have anything really sharp. Yeah, definitely not this. Bring out the big guns. And if all else fails, I have a line now. Bring out the scissors. How about a pen? We'll trace it till I can get some sharp tools. Hopefully it's not just me that has dull tools. Sorry about that. I hate dull. But yeah, they're used and abused. Okay, so now I've got corners cut. Put the weapons away so I don't hurt myself. And I'm going to use 3-in-1 glue, Fabri-Tac, Fabri-Fix. They're pretty much all the same thing. And what I want to do is just trim this off a bit. It's a bit too wide. I don't want it real narrow, but I don't want this much. And this fabric I'm using is a drapery weight cotton fabric. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and apply some glue. I'm going to be sewing this too, so I don't need a lot of glue, but I'm starting at a long end, start in the middle, and press it down. Come over that, use a little bit of pressure, you know, pull it taut so it's nice and tight. And it looks like some glue has seeped through a little bit, but that's okay. This is all going to be covered. And then I'm going to do this side. Double check, make sure I'm good on this side. So now we're going to do our short end. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue in that corner and this corner. Bring my corner of that fabric down and kind of hold it a little bit, give it a pinch, let some glue grab. Same thing with this corner. Just give it a little pinch so that that glue can grab. And if you need a little more, go for it. If you're afraid of getting dirty, then I'm sorry. But we're washable. We can do this. Okay, and then we want to bring this side down over the center and then walk it over. Same thing with this corner. Using my bone folder to apply some pressure. Now one more side. Get our corners. When I do this, I wish I had nails. Otherwise, I'm glad they never get in the way. This will work. Just kind of hold it with that, just till it grabs. And then bring it over, center first, and then walk it down. And bring it over here, pull it down, and walk it over from the center out. And this whole inside will be covered with our lining. And this is going to be my front. I don't want to fold it too much over yet because it's still wet. I want to wait until it's dry. But my edge is right here. Okay, and we're going to be doing some sewing around it, but we're going to wait until we get the lining so we can do the sewing all at the same time. But this is going to be my front, and now is the time if you want to attach your decoration or your book plate. And what I've got is I cut a little piece of this loose weave fabric and I frayed the edges, and then I have a little book plate here. It says journal, and it was just plain chipboard, but I hit it with vintage photo oxide, distress oxide on the first layer, and then I put a layer of peeled paint over the top of it so it has a little bit of green hue to it. And so what I want to do is glue this onto my green. So I'm going to move that aside. And try to get that centered. The best I can. And then what we're going to do is go ahead and apply glue sparingly to the back of this green. And I'm going pretty close to my frayed edge because I don't want any more to fray. And you don't need a lot of glue for this. Okay. My cover is 5 3/4. Get my ruler in place. And I'm using this edge of the ruler just so that I try to get it as level as I can. And of course I gotta lift it up so I can see it to make sure that I'm good. Yeah, okay. Then push it down. And now we need some brads. Oh, they're not the same color. Okay. They gotta match. Those are the same color. They're so similar, it's hard to tell. And I'm going to use a pokey tool to go ahead and go through there, all the way through. It's going through lots of layers. This needle pokey tool helps quite a bit to make that pilot hole. I'm going to see if the hole is going to be big enough or if I have to go in with a bigger awl. Because I've got the layer of batting, I've got the canvas, I've got this fabric, and I've got the file folder. So let's go ahead and grab the awl and make a bigger hole, because I've got to get the legs of the brad in there, and I don't want to bend the folder. Perfect. And spread the legs apart. and then put the other one in. So now we have it. Now, instead of putting the brads and all the glue and stuff, I could have stitched, but I don't think I wanted that effect with that padding because it's a little bit squishy, and so it would look funny if I put the stitching in, because then it would have a pillow effect on my title book plate, and I didn't want that, and so I just put the glue and the brads to secure it. And then when we put the lining on, that will be covered. So we are ready to go ahead and start the lining. Get rid of some of these tools so that I can bring up I need that sewing machine for this. And what I've done so far, my zipper was 22 inches long, much too long. So what I did was I stitched some twill tape up here at the top, and I stitched some twill tape on the bottom across, and then I cut the rest of the zipper off. And it is the length of my back. So that's what I've done so far. Now what I want to do is stitch it to the vinyl, but let me grab that sewing machine. Get some room. It's a big heavy one. And get plugged in. Okay, we need our zipper foot on the right side. And I'm going to grab some masking tape. I don't want to use pins because it will be permanent in my vinyl. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'm just trying to match to see where it goes, and I'm going to put the tape on the back of the zipper. That way I can see through. I don't want it too close to the zipper teeth or it'll bind. Okay, and just press that tape down. Now I'm going to go ahead and stitch in a straight stitch. Grab my threads. And I'm not sure if you can see what I'm doing because of the angle. My foot pedals hung up. Here we go. Much better. And I'm just using a size 14 or 90 needle. And I don't want to run into that zipper foot or the pull, so I'm going to move it back up and continue on. And now we can get rid of that masking tape. And I sewed right through it, but it rips right off. The sewing perforates it. And then grab the other side of it. And I've got one little piece left here. So, mission successful on this part. Now we're going to sew it to our lining, and I want to double check with my cover on how I cut this so that I don't mess it up. And hopefully try to get it so you can see what I'm doing also. When I cut this, I wasn't very careful. I just wanted it bigger than what I needed. And let's grab a few pins. And I'm just coming in a little bit, I'd say just a hair over 1/8 of an inch from the edge, or maybe just 1/8 will be good. And I want to put my pins in perpendicular to the edge. Because vinyl is very slippery, and so I have to secure it. But it is important to sew the zipper to the vinyl first. And making sure that's straight. Okay, let's go ahead and sew. And I'm going to put the zipper foot on the other side. No, you know what? It's going to be easier for me going the other way. And I'm going to put the needle down, take out that pin, lift up the presser foot and get rid of that zipper pull, and continue on. And let's move this out of the way. Need to be able to see and double check to see if I need to take it apart or start over or what, because you never know. Because we've got a couple more things to stitch on it, but I need to make sure that I'm going to be okay. Yes, it's missing. The vinyl, I want it to stop before the fold of the spine. And that's what I needed to double check to make sure I was going to be okay. So now we're going to use our trusty masking tape again and just secure it a little bit, because we have to sew it shut. Okay, grab the sewing machine again. I'm putting my clear all-purpose foot on there. And I'm just straight stitching the top. The vinyl I'm using is quite heavy, and you can use any weight that you're comfortable with. Don't use very lightweight though, it'll be very hard to control and manipulate to work with. Okay, and I've got a metal zipper under there, so I have to be careful so I don't hit it with my needle. Okay. Okay, I have to move this back out of the way again. And we can go ahead and remove our masking tape. Okay, and then get our cover. When I made the file folder with wallpaper journals a couple videos ago, I did all the stitching of the wallpaper right through it at this point before I lined it with the fabric, or I used cardstock to line it with. But it's not quite dry, but it's doing pretty good. And our pocket is a viable working pocket, so we can put all kinds of journaling goodies in there. So mission successful with that. Now we just have to line it up with the back, with the actual cover part. Make sure I'm putting it on the right side. I want my pocket in the front so that it doesn't get in the way of journaling, because I'm right-handed, and a lot of people are right-handed, And if you had the pocket full of goodies and you were trying to write, it would get in the way. So that's why I choose to put it on the left side. And so now what we need is some more glue. So grab my brush and paper towel here. Because I've got it in the water. So I want to try to dry it as much as I can. We'll give that a try, see if it works. Here's our messy sheet, and it appears like it's dry, but I'm not going to count on it. I'm flipping it over to the other side because I can always clean the glass mat. But I don't want the cover to get glue on it. Yeah. It's oozing water. I'm not going to use it. I don't want that much water. We're going to go with this. It's a smaller brush, but it's dry. I'm going with it. And so now I just want to apply glue all over the paper. I don't want to put it on the sides, on the fabric yet. I want to wait and do that last. If you have any questions of what I'm doing or why, or if you've got a better suggestion, just let me know in the comments below. And then also, you guys, Dale messaged me and said that Dale's from Not Too Shabby Chic, and she said that I am only 5 subscribers away from winning her grand prize. So if you haven't gone to check out Not Too Shabby Chic and subscribed yet, please do so and tell her that Grammy's Keepsake sent you. All I need is 5 more. Okay, I've got the glue on the paper done, and I'll put Dale's link to the video that you need to comment in the description box. I appreciate it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just carefully apply some on the edge, but I'm staying away from about a 1/4 inch margin because we're going to sew, and this is going to take a while to dry, and I don't want my needle going through wet glue if it can be avoided. easy enough to clean, but it may gum up the right side of it, and I don't want that. We want it to look nice. Kind of like watching paint dry, right? Literally. Oop, I don't want that. That was a hard lump. Okay, making sure everything's covered and wet the best we can. Put this aside for now. Have it handy though in case I need it. Let's get rid of this. And this is my front. And I'm just lining up the edge of the canvas here by the zipper, and I'm using the zipper pull the tapes to line up my edges there. Making sure that I'm not crooked. I'm using my vinyl as my edge. Looks like it should be okay. We'll find out, right? Okay, and then we just press it down. Then we grab that bone folder again. Looks like I've got something on my vinyl. It's on the front side though, so I can clean that off. I didn't see it until now. Get the shadows going. Okay, looking good. Okay, we need to trim it up without cutting the cover. I'm going to grab my sewing scissors quick. And let's trim that off. And I'm being careful not to cut the fold of my cover fabric. I hope this video isn't getting too long. Just fast forward through the boring parts. Okay, it looks like I've got it. Got pins everywhere now. Get my little threads. Okay, so now we're going to zigzag all the way around it. Okay, it worked. So I'm going to go ahead and put the matte gel cover back on and the other paintbrush in the water. And here we go. Whoops. And I've got it on my zigzag. And I'm going to go ahead and start down here on the bottom. And I'm using natural thread so that it matches. If you wanted to contrast it, that's good too. And oh, that's not going to work. Let me grab my pokey tool. Get that in there and hold down that fabric. I have that 1/4 inch that I don't have any glue, and I don't want the fabric to travel. And it is best if you let all of these layers dry before you complete it. But for the sake of tutorial video purposes, I'm just going for it. Okay, I have a couple of threads down here that I want to clip off so they don't get tangled. And I'm coming up to that metal zipper again. And I used what I had that would coordinate with this. So that's why it's an old relic of a metal zipper. It was even a separating one. But I don't want to hit it with my needle because the needle would break and it would fly and it would always end up in my eyes. I just know it. So we don't want that. No injuries. And then I'm back spacing or back stitching just a little bit here at the end. And you know what? Let's do the stop stitch. Okay. Got it. Let's, well, move it aside. Okay. So here we have our cover. Got to trim a few frayed ends, but I've got it zigzagged over the edge all around so that it could hold in all the edges here. So there's our journal cover, and this is going to be our hinge, and gotta let this dry. And then what I will probably do when it's dry is go ahead and stitch in the ditch down here and down here in the two creases. But I'm going to wait for all of this to dry first. So thank you for watching. Have a great day.